calculated based on these ratings. And it's also situational based too. Like if you're going for a big hit and somebody catches you, much like in the real UFC, you're going to leave yourself open and get caught. You might get knocked out. So again, it's not this very rigid system of, you know, this input elicits this reaction. It's really dependent on the situation and, you know, the math that's being calculated under the hood. So we can go in and just kind of have these guys fight. So basically, you know, the way we set up the game, I mean, if you played previous fighting games, even though we don't like to call ourselves a fighting game, we're really a sports hybrid game with fighting elements. You know, about the idea of this is the sport of mixed martial arts, and it's about, you know, kind of teeing off these varying styles and abilities that these guys have. Obviously, MMA people in general, you have to have what? Oh, good.
I'll turn it back on.
You should turn it back on now. Can you turn it on? So again, everything from, like, you know, we have actual UFC sponsors, you know, real life sponsors that we managed to get in the game. We do the introductions. I mean, you can see the visual quality of our models. For those of you who don't know like how we actually make these models, we literally will bring these guys in and scan them with a three-dimensional camera that will take like a perfect topographical mesh of their body, and then on top of that, we'll take high-res photography, which we literally slap on the mesh data that we got from the scan. And so what results are these unmistakable representations of the models in-game. They're pushing about 35,000 polygons each. And each of these guys will actually manifest realistic cuts, swelling, and bruising. You'll see that we even default the health and stamina bar to off to really immerse you in that experience. You're going to see your fighter's status and state based on the bruises, the swelling, the blood on the mat, as well as their animations. As you start getting tired, your hands are going to come down, you're going to be more susceptible to getting caught. You know, so everything to kind of really immerse you in the pay-per-view experience, we really take great pains to do. Obviously, you can turn the health bar back on, stamina, energy bar back on, you know, but again, we default it to off to really give you that complete experience. We also have several trainers. This is Greg Jackson, who's you know, one of the veteran trainers in the UFC. So we try to get the majority of people that we could get into the game, you know, to kind of represent the organization as a whole. Ooh, looking mean, looking mean. So the entire game is actually, what you're going to see as these guys start fighting is a very fluid representation of a real fight. The entire game is done through Havoc physics. We're also one of the first games to use Havoc cloth for the shorts. So when punches are thrown and landed, we don't actually choreograph anything. You know, typically in a fighting game, it's a very rigid, you know, this punch elicits this reaction animation. But you'll see as Wes and Rob are fighting, if a punch lands, you know, and a guy's too close, it'll skip off his hand. If an arm is up, it'll skip off the arm. So you get a very realistic representation of a real fight, because everything's happening based on physics, and the damage is calculated based on where it lands on the point of impact, as opposed to like some predetermined thing. So you can see that there's, you know, this fluid action from the stand-up game right to the ground game. You can see they're both, you know, there's no kind of interpenetration. You're not seeing limbs clip through other limbs. You're actually seeing flesh being moved out of the way. When these guys start going to the ground, they're going to do a lot more takedowns and reversals. So you can see, you guys should really block. So you can see here that, you know, again, Wes and Rob are executing these quarter circle turns to achieve kind of higher states up the pyramid. If you think of the ground game as this pyramid of dominance with the full mount at the top, when the guy's sitting over the hips of the other guy, he's doing these quarter circle turns to incrementally move up that pyramid, and that's what we call a minor transition. On top of that, we have this other system called major transitions, which takes a greater than incremental steps. So like 2 steps up the pyramid, or you know, multiple, you know, gets you to the top, the better position quicker. And conversely, the guy on the bottom can actually execute those maneuvers as well to bring the guy back down to the position of less dominance and eventually kick them off. And these are done via, so the minor transitions are done via quarter circle turns on the right stick, our Ultimate Fighting Control TM, whereas the major transitions are just greater than quarter circle turns. So if you think of a quarter circle as like a 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock or a 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, greater than quarter circle turn is like a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you know, No, I'm sorry, 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Sorry, I don't have a clock in here. So you guys should do some reversals and stop playing like shit.
But this is how it is.
So basically right there you saw a reversal. Essentially when a guy is going for a submission, when you see that movement like right there what just happened, when the animation system is tied to the input on the stick. So as you start inputting towards that 12 o'clock position, boom, you just saw it again. So as you see that movement, reversals are done via flicks on the left on the right stick. So you flick it left or right when you see initial movement, and it'll switch your position to a more dominant position. So that's like the real crux of the ground game, is that you'll see people get into a tempo of going from